The phone rings at the Jack-in-the-Box drive-thru window, just as the dinner rush hits fever pitch. Sue snatches it, already sweating through her polyester polo. On the other end, miles away on Highway 101, I lean against a payphone booth with my concert ticket in my pocket and a grin I can't hide. "Hey, Sue," I say, calm as anything. "You know what? I don't think I'm coming in tonight." A beat of silence. Then her scream rips through the receiver. "What the fuck did you do?" In the background, I hear teenage voices shouting, clear as day. I need 2 more orders of Sue's ass smells. Fire up another Mike Mount's Barnyard Animals. I laugh once, short and sharp. "Enjoy Tahoe," I tell her, and I hang up. 2 hours later, I'm screaming along to Back in Black with 20,000 other people. While back at the store, the receipts are still printing pure, uncut revenge. Summer of 85, maybe 86. The years blur when you're 23 and miserable. I was assistant manager at the Jack-in-the-Box on El Camino Real, pulling 12-hour graveyard-to-graveyard shifts that left me smelling like fryer grease and regret. The pay was shit. The uniform itched, and the joy had drained out of me 2 years earlier. The only bright spots were the crew, a pack of 17 to 19-year-olds who were sharp, funny, and just as fed up as I was with the 2 other assistant managers, Sue and Mike. Sue, we called her Smelly Sue behind her back, not because she actually stank, though the nickname stuck anyway, but because everything about her radiated entitlement. Mike, shithead Mike, strutted around like he owned the place, barking orders while he and Sue carried on their not-so-secret affair, right under everyone's noses. The mental image of those 2 together still makes my skin crawl decades later. They'd been dropping hints all week about their big romantic getaway, a cabin on Lake Tahoe, fancy Napa wines, maybe some lingerie. Sue Stage whispered that part loud enough for the entire grill line to gag in unison. Friday afternoon, they cornered the store manager and got Saturday and Sunday off. No discussion with me. No, "Hey, can you cover?" Just done. Saturday night. A C/DC at the Cow Palace. Tickets bought months ago. My entire friend group going. I'd been counting down the days. Now I was scheduled to close, alone, while they sipped Chardonnay and played house. I clocked in Friday at 8 a.m., already boiling. By 8 p.m., the restaurant was slammed. Sue and Mike were still crowing about their weekend like teenagers sneaking out. And I was done. 2 years of this crap. Covering their laziness, listening to their bullshit, watching them screw each other, literally and figuratively, while the rest of us carried the load. Enough. They punched out at 9 p.m., waving cheerfully as they left me with a packed dining room and 6 more hours of hell. Midnight finally came. I sent the last of the crew home after cleanup, all of them giving me knowing looks, because I'd quietly told them earlier, "Tonight's my last night. Watch this." Alone in the dim restaurant, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, I sat at the back office terminal. The registers in those days were primitive, pre-programmed menu keys tied to specific day parts, breakfast keys for eggs and hash browns, lunch for tacos and burgers, dinner keys activated around 6 p.m. for the late-night menu items. Every button you pressed printed exactly what was programmed, on receipts, on kitchen monitors above the fryers and griddle. Store policy. Every customer got a receipt. No exceptions. Forget it, and they could claim $5 free food. I opened the programming mode. Manager password was still the default. Genius move by corporate. And I went to work on the dinner keys only. left breakfast and lunch untouched. One by one, I rewrote the labels. Fries became Sue's ass smells. Onion rings became Mike Mount's barnyard animals. Jumbo Jack became Sue has ass breath. Super Taco became Mike has tiny balls. And so on. A whole glossary of every insult we'd whispered for months. I saved it. Logged out. Wiped my fingerprints off the keyboard like some B-movie criminal. Locked up. Walked to my car and drove toward the city, with the windows down and Highway to Hell already playing in my head. Saturday morning hit like any other busy weekend at Jack in the Box. The breakfast rush started at 6 a.m. sharp. Sue and Mike clocked in together, still buzzing from the night before, already trading inside jokes about the cabin view and the bottle of Cabernet they'd stashed in the cooler. They strutted through the dining room like they owned it, barking at the morning crew to pick up the pace, while they sipped coffee and planned their escape. Nobody touched a dinner key all day. Not one. The lunch shift rolled in around 11. Burgers, tacos, shakes. The screens above the stations flashed the usual. 1 Jumbo Jack, 2 large fries, Super Taco no cheese. Crew worked fast, heads down, but every now and then someone would glance at me. Or rather, at the empty spot where I should have been prepping for close, and smirk. I'd told them the night before, right after I finished reprogramming. When dinner keys get hit tonight, just roll with it. Don't fix anything. Let it ride. They'd grinned like kids handed free candy. 5:55 p.m. Still no sign of me. Sue started pacing near the front registers, checking her watch every 30 seconds. Mike hovered by the time clock, arms crossed, muttering about unreliable assholes. The dinner transition hit at 6 o'clock on the dot. First order came through the speaker. "Welcome to Jack in the Box. May I take your order?" "Yeah. 2 Jumbo Jack combos, large fries, 2 Cokes." Cashier, one of the 19-year-olds who'd been with me since she was 17, punched it in. Normal keys. Dinner menu active. Receipt spits out. She hands it to the customer with a perfectly straight face. Up on the kitchen monitors. 2 Jumbo Jacks. 2 orders of Sue's ass smells. 2 Cokes. The fryer station crew, 3 guys who'd suffered under Sue's micromanaging for years, froze for half a second. Then one of them barked out, loud enough for the whole back line to hear. "I got 2 orders of Sue's ass smells. Coming up." Laughter exploded. Not quiet giggles. Full, choking, can't breathe laughter. The grill guy slapped the counter. Wait, what's the Jumbo Jack say?" Another screen check. "Sue has ass breath." More howling. Sue, up front, heard the commotion. She stormed back. "What the hell is so funny? We've got a line." Nobody answered. They were too busy shouting orders in code. "Need 1 more Mike has tiny balls on the grill." "Fry up another order of Mike Mount's barnyard animals." "Extra Sue's ass over here." The dining room was packed. Families, teens, construction guys on break, all watching this teenage crew lose their minds while trying, and mostly failing, to keep straight faces. Customers started noticing the receipts. One dad looked down at his. 1 Jumbo Jack. Sue has ass breath. 1 large fries. Sue's ass smells. He snorted coffee out his nose. His kid pointed. "Dad, what does that mean?" Dad just shook his head, grinning. "Don't ask." Sue snatched a receipt from a customer's hand, read it. Her face went from red to purple in about 3 seconds. Mike grabbed another one. "Mike has tiny balls." He looked like he'd been slapped. They both spun toward the kitchen. "Who did this?" The crew kept working, dropping fries, flipping patties. But the shouts didn't stop. 2 more, Mike and goats. Hold the Sue's ass breath extra pepper. Pandemonium. Absolute beautiful pandemonium. Sue tried to get on a register to void orders, cancel keys. Nothing worked. The programming was locked in manager mode, and neither of them remembered the override sequence. Mike yelled for the store manager, who was conveniently out of town for the weekend. They paged the regional guy. He said he'd be there as soon as possible. Meanwhile, I was halfway to San Francisco, windows down, radio blasting, thunderstruck. Pulled off at a rest stop in Mountain View, found a payphone booth lit by one flickering bulb. Dropped in my quarters, dialed the store. Sue picked up on the first ring, voice shaking with rage. "Hello?" "Hey, Sue," I said, casual as if I was calling about the weather. "You know what? I don't think I'm coming in tonight. I'm not missing the AC/DC concert. So, I quit." A strangled sound came through the line. Half scream, half gasp. In the background, "I need 3 orders of Mike Mount's Barnyard Animals stat." Laughter roaring like a wave. "What the fuck did you do?" Sue shrieked. I could picture her. Face blotchy, polo untucked, hair escaping its tight bun for once. I laughed. Just once. Clean and final. "Enjoy Tahoe," I said, and hung up. The rest of that Saturday night unfolded like the best kind of chaos comedy. The kind you can only pull off when everyone except the targets is in on the joke. Sue and Mike tried everything short of smashing the registers. They rebooted the terminals. No change. They called the help desk line, closed for the weekend. They yelled at the crew to stop laughing and fix this. But the kids just kept working, shouting the new menu items with straight faces while shoulders shook. Grill. I need 1 Mike has tiny balls. Hold the cheese. Fryers. Drop 3 Sue's ass smells. Extra salt. Customers kept coming. Drive-through line backed up to the street. Some walked out laughing after reading their receipts. Others stayed just to watch the show. One regular, a trucker who came in every weekend, read his receipt, looked up at Sue behind the counter, and deadpanned, "Damn, girl, that's cold." Then he tipped his hat and left with his food. Around 9 p.m., the regional manager finally showed up. Tie loosened, face like thunder, after getting dragged in on a Saturday night. He took one look at the kitchen monitors flashing, "Sue has ass breath," over and over, heard the crew chanting, "Mike Mount's Barnyard Animals," like it was a battle cry, and just sighed. "All right," he said, "show me the back office." It took him about 45 minutes to reverse the programming, longer than it took me, because he kept pausing to mutter curses under his breath. By the time he finished, the dinner rush was dying down. The crew was wiping tears from laughing so hard, and Sue and Mike looked like they'd aged 10 years in 4 hours. Their fancy Tahoe cabin? Canceled. The wines? Probably warm and forgotten in the trunk. Lingerie? Not even on the radar anymore. The store manager called me a few days later. Not mad, just impressed. He'd heard the full play-by-play from the crew. Said it was the most entertaining shift anyone could remember. Sue lasted another 3 months. Long enough for the nicknames to become permanent legend among the staff. Mike got the axe a week after the incident. Something about unprofessional conduct and failure to maintain store standards, but everyone knew the real reason. Corporate didn't like viral-level embarrassment tied to their brand. The crew threw me a quiet send-off the next week. Pizza in the break room, a homemade card that read, "Thanks for the best quit ever," and a mixtape of AC/DC tracks, labeled Highway to Revenge. I kept that card for years. That night, at the Cow Palace, pure magic. The lights dropped. The opening riff of Hell's Bells hit like a thunderclap. 20,000 voices roaring along. I was front row with my best friends, sweat-soaked, screaming every word. No grease smell, no polyester polo, no Tahoe-stealing managers, just freedom, and the sweet aftertaste of justice. Looking back, it wasn't just petty revenge. It was a declaration. I'm done being the reliable one who gets screwed over. I'm done carrying people who don't carry their weight. And yeah, it cost me a reference and a couple weeks of unemployment, but I landed on my feet. Turned out reprogramming those old registers was the first real code I ever wrote. A few years later, I was debugging actual software for real money. No fryer burns, no midnight shifts. Sometimes life hands you a shitty job and shitty people. You can swallow it, or you can rewrite the menu. I chose rewrite, and it tasted better than any Jumbo Jack ever could. Stay frosty, friends. Don't get mad. Get even. And if you ever find yourself behind a register with programmable keys, well, you know what to do.